Good afternoon all. So today in methodology and instrumentation, we are going to discuss about electron microscope. An electron microscope, it is a microscope that uses a beam of accelerated electrons as a source of illumination. In the previous sessions, we have discussed using the microscope in which the beam of light is used as source of illumination. Here, beam of accelerated electrons are used. And it is a special type of microscope having high resolution images. That means it is able to magnify objects in nanometers and which are formed by controlled use of electrons in vacuum captured on a phosphorescent screen. So, this electron microscopy has produce high resolution images and using the electrons in a controlled form in vacuum, and those electrons are captured on a phosphorescent screen. Ernst Ruska in 1906 to 1988. He was a German engineer and an academic professor, built the first electron microscope in 1931, and the same principles behind his prototype still govern modern electron microscopes. Next is about the working principle of electron microscopes. The electron microscopes use signals which are arising from the interaction of electron beam with the sample. So whenever this electron beam which may interact with the sample, it may produces signals that is used to obtain information about the structure, morphology and composition of the urofilm. Then the electron guns here accelerate or generates electrons. In the electron microscopy, electron gun generates the electrons and thus it may comes in contact with the sample. So two sets of condenser lens are used to focus the electron beam on the specimen and then into a thin tight beam. Two sets of condenser lenses are used to move electrons down the column as an accelerating voltage, mostly in between 100 kV to 1000 kV is applied between the tungsten filament and anode. So an accelerating voltage is applied 100 kV to 1000 kV. The specimen to be examined, we should keep that specimen as an extremely thin, at least 200 times thin than those used in optical microscope. That means ultra thin sections of 20 to 100 nanometer. They are cut, which is already placed in the specimen holder. And the electron beam, when passing through the specimen, electrons get scattered. And this may depend upon the thickness of the specimen or the refractive index of the different part of the specimen. More thin, more refraction and also more scattering occurs. Denser region in the, not more scattering, less scattering. Denser, if the specimen is very dense, what happens? Scattering occurs more, and as a result more electrons are released, scattered, and it may appear darker in the image since fewer electrons strike that area of the screen. So when the fewer electrons strike the area of the screen, specimen scattering, that is electron scattering from specimen, is very lower. So in contrast, transparent regions are more brighter. The electron beam which are coming out of the specimen, first of all, it may undergo scattering and they passes to the objective lens which has high power of resolution and forms the intermediates magnified image. So electron beam come out of the specimen, passes to the objective lens, and it forms an intermediate magnified image while passing through the high power. The ocular lenses then produce, finally, the final image is magnified image is produced by ocular lens. Electron microscopy is in the form of, now next is about parts of the electron microscope. So it is actually in the form of a tall vacuum column. In the picture we have seen, which is vertically mounted. It has following components. What are the components? Electron gun. Electron gun is a heated tungsten filament. So electron gun, it is a heated tungsten filament which generates electrons. Next is electromagnetic lenses. This one is condenser lens. This may focus the electron beam on the specimen. The second condenser lens forms the electrons into a thin, tight beam. So, two condenser lens. First one focuses the electron beam on the specimen. Second one forms the electrons into a thin, tight beam. The electron beams which are coming out of the specimen now passes down the second of the magnetic coil, and it is called objective lens, and it has high power and forms intermediate magnified image. Then the third set of magnetic lens are projector lens or ocular lens, which produce final further magnified image. Each of these lens act as So third one is projector lens. Each of this lens act as an image magnifier. So the image can be more magnified using these three types of lens, all the while maintaining an incredible level of detailed information and also detailed resolution of the image. The next part is specimen holder. The specimen holder is extremely thin film of carbon or colloidal, and those are held by metal grid. Next part is image viewing and recording system. The final image is projected on a fluorescent screen, and below the fluorescent screen it is a camera for recording the image. So the image can be recorded using the camera which is placed below the fluorescent screen, and the final image is projected on fluorescent screen. Applications. The electron microscopes are used to investigate ultrastructure of a wide range of biological and inorganic specimens, including microorganisms, cells, large molecules, biopsy samples, metals, and crystals. Industrially, electron microscopes are often used for quality control and failure analysis too. Modern electron microscopes produce electron micrographs using specialized digital cameras and frame grabbers to capture the images. The science of microbiology owes its development to the electron microscope. Study of these microorganisms like bacteria, viruses, and other pathogens have made the treatment of the disease very effective. So these viruses, bacteria can be observed more clearly, and their internal organ study can also be conducted using this electron microscope, such as cellular organs including flagella, pili, fimbriae. These are all visible using electron microscopes. Now, what are the advantages? They have a very high magnification, high resolution, which is incredibly high resolution. Material rarely distorted by preparation. So, they are rarely distorted by preparation. It is possible to investigate a greater depth of field. So, it is possible to investigate a greater depth of field, and also it has different types of applications. Apart from the advantages, there are limitations too, because the live specimen cannot be observed, because while we are placing the specimen, it can be either heat fixed or air dried, or it can be sliced into thin sections and it have undergone certain treatment. That's why the live specimen cannot be observed. As the penetration power of electron beam is very low, the object should be very ultra thin. For this reason, the specimen is dried and they are cut into ultra thin sections before observation. As the electron microscope works in a vacuum, the specimen should be completely dry. So, the specimen should be completely dry. Then only it may work in vacuum. Then it is very expensive to maintain and also to build, and it is mainly used by the research training requiring an image artifacts. This may occur as a result during the specimen preparation. And this type of microscope is very large, cumbersome, and extremely they are sensitive to vibrations and external magnetic fields because it consists of magnetic lenses. Now, what are the two types of electron microscopes? There are mainly two types of electron microscopes with different operating styles. First one is transmission electron microscope. Second one is scanning electron microscopes. Transmission electron microscope. The transmission electron microscope, it is used to view thin specimen through which electrons can pass, generating a projection image. So, in this electrons can pass generating projection image, and it is analogous in many ways to conventional light microscope. It can be used among other things to image the interior of cells. So, interior of the cells can be viewed using this transmission electron microscope. The structure of the protein molecules, this can be viewed by contrasting with metal shadowing technique. Then organization of the molecules in viruses and cytoskeletal filaments. This can also be viewed by transmission electron microscope, and this can be prepared by negative staining technique in specimen preparation. Then also arrangement of protein molecules. Either it is alpha or beta, etc. in the cell membrane. Then arrangement of protein molecules in the cell membrane. This can also be viewed by using freeze fracture techniques. So this is the transmission electron microscope structure: electron gun, anode, specimen, objective lens, intermediate lens, projector lens, fluorescent, screen. Next is about scanning electron microscope. So conventional scanning electron microscope depends on emission of, these are mainly as a result of emission of secondary electrons. The great depth of focus, this microscope, it is the electron microscope analog of a stereo light microscope, and it provides the detailed images of surface of the cells, not internal, surface structures and whole organization that are not possible by TEM. It can also be used for particle counting and size determination, and also for the process control. And it is termed as scanning electron microscope because the image is formed by scanning a focused electron beam. A focused electron beam is onto the surface of the specimen in a raster pattern. That's all about transmission electron microscope and scanning electron microscope. Okay, thank you all.